So, I'm going to talk about business model a little bit here. So a little quick background for those of you that don't know. I have my own consulting practice in strategy and innovation for mid to large size companies. I am a partner in a VC firm, and as Whitney helped me realize, I'm the only female partner in the VC firm. And while I mentor and advise my clients, what I want to talk to you about today is this mentoring thing that I do up the hill at my alma mater, Brown University. Over the last 5 years or so, I probably mentored about 100 students, give or take, I don't really know. As we start this semester, I am actively mentoring, and actively to me means about 2 or 3 times a month, virtually or in real life, 35 kids, including recent alum and undergrads. I try to get up to campus. I live in Oberlin, Ohio. Well, I'll explain that later, because I kind of do. But I try to get up to campus about once a week during the academic year and spend 2 full days doing office hours, which is when I mentor. So you could say that's a lot of time and effort, and you'd be right. And why do I do that? Hold that thought. Back up. So, mentioned I live in Oberlin, Ohio. So my body spends 3 months out of the year in Pemaquid Harbor, Maine, on the coast of Maine. My brain spends every single minute of every day there. This summer, we went to the big grocery store in Damariscotta. It's a major 15-minute drive. And my daughter and I were going to figure out what we needed to stock up on. We go look at seafood because I'm trying to figure out what to make for dinner. And as is relatively common in a lot of big grocery stores on the eastern seaboard, there is a tank of live lobsters where you can buy them. They'll either steam them there for you or you can take them home. And as you can see, nice price, I know, it's Maine. Think of a crowded subway car at rush hour underwater. And that is your live lobster tank. So we're looking at it, whatever, waiting to get waited on. And then my daughter and I look at each other again. Was there something blue in there? In the tank was a blue lobster. Now, blue lobsters are very rare. They are about 1 in 2 million. I just recently read something like 1 in 3 million. I happen to love blue lobsters. My kids know it so much that my student kids actually got me blue lobster shoes for BIF. And I had thought you're not allowed to sell blue lobsters. You either have to donate them to science, throw them back, send them to an aquarium. So in our naivete, my daughter and I asked the fish people, "You're not selling that blue lobster?" To which they reply, "Duh." Well, there's no way we can let this blue lobster end up on a dinner table. So for $9.26, we buy this lobster its freedom. They package it up, we finish our shopping, we get in the car to go home. It is carefully put in the back seat, strapped in for safety. And maybe I drove home a little more carefully than I normally would. Even though my daughter's in the car, it's a blue lobster, seriously, people. We get home, and at this time of day, which varies every day, it's about mid-tide, which means we have about 4 feet off the dock-ish, give or take. So we go down to the dock, let the little guy out for a little roaming around, take our requisite photo ops, and so I don't assume everybody knows about lobsters. The bands are on its claws so that it doesn't snip off fingers or parts of other lobsters when it's stuck in a tank, okay? And let's face it, guys, isn't that gorgeous? I think it's beautiful. All right, thank you. So we decide it's time to release it, set it free. My daughter and I each take a claw, hold the claw tightly with one hand, and with the other hand, we take off the band, because This thing is not going to live underwater with bands on. And we very slowly, gently lay it in the water. And as it's floating down to the bottom of the harbor off our dock, it somehow turns over and ends up on its back on the bottom. And it does not move. So my daughter and I are thinking, oh, great. We did all this and we killed it. But slowly it acclimates, it flips over, and it scurries away under the dock. So what is the moral of this story? When you find a blue lobster, nurture it, support it, and set it free. So what is a blue lobster to me? Well, yeah, they're gorgeous. But to me, a blue lobster, yes, Saul, I'm not going to read off my notes. A blue lobster is a person. It is a person who looks at the world, who organizes the world differently than most other people, who challenges the status quo, who likes to try, is willing to fail, and tries again, who is interesting because they're interested, and who has an impact on this world no matter how small and no matter how large. That, to me, is a blue lobster. So, where do you find these? They actually are everywhere. Now, that said, there's some habitats, places that are much more conducive. So, the peninsula southwest of us, up in Maine, is home to the University of Maine's Darling Marine Center, where they literally study blue lobsters, and when they're done, dump them in our harbor, right into Pemaquid Harbor. So we tend to have a higher than typical average number of blue lobsters, right? Cool. Look around you here. Look around, all over. Look in a mirror. This is a major blue lobster habitat. No, seriously, right? And up the hill, there are a lot of brown blue lobsters. And I should know because I'm a brown blue lobster. They are everywhere, though. And while it's more conducive here, you can find them anywhere. You just have to look. And the more you look, the more you'll find. And the more you find, the more you will find. It is incumbent upon us, especially us here, whether we're blue lobsters or not, to find, nurture, support, develop, and free blue lobsters. And maybe that way, they won't be so rare. All right, so what does this have to do with mentoring up at Brown? My grandmother came to this country with my grandfather and my mommy, and I did call her mommy because she's my mommy. Hey. 1939, they got the last boat, this Saturnia, that made it across the Atlantic. It was stopped by the Germans. They removed all the Jews except for my grandparents and my mother, who were hidden in a closet. My grandmother was 40 when she came here. English was her 7th and final language. She died at 99 and a half, and every day, well, not quite, but mostly, she said to me, I'm going to try to quote her, "Darling, the day you stop learning is the day you die." And maybe that's why I'm insatiably curious, and I love learning. Now, most of us think when you're doing learning, you learn from people a lot older than you. You get mentored by these older, wiser people, and that's just lovely. And it's true. What we don't realize is how much mentoring we can get from those of us that are younger. And there is a lot there. And being mentored by those younger people, those young blue lobsters, is critical to my business model for 3 specific reasons. 1, they keep me learning. Working with these young brown blue lobsters is like going to grad school for free. So this semester, in particular, I'm learning about haptic feedback, so haptic sense of touch, with a kid that's developed a glove to be used in augmented, virtual, and real reality situations, trying to get it to sense texture and temperature. That's pretty cool. Who knew, right? And by learning from these kids, I can be a thought learner and discerner, which to me is more important than being a thought leader. So at some point, when you're a kid, you're supposed to explore, ask questions, learn, and then society tells us at some point we become adults, and now it's time to be an expert and have all the questions. And that is a pile of bunk. Well, I think it's a pile of bunk. Because I want to stay young, scrappy, and hungry, thank you, Hamilton, and not become old, complacent, and sated. I want to keep learning and exploring, because that's how I can help my clients keep learning and exploring, which leads me to 2. By working with these young blue lobsters, my comfort zone keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. Guys, don't get out of your comfort zone, keep growing it. It's a whole different metaphor. They keep me nimble and agile mentally, intellectually, pivoting on a dime, which I have to do in business anyway. Magnify that by tenfold with these kids. They challenge my core assumptions and beliefs. And one of the businesses that I am mentoring, Project Let's, for Let's Erase the Stigma, focused on mental health, has pushed me beyond my comfort zone and created and expanded that in ways that I can't even quantify. It has taught me amazing new business models, ways of thinking I wouldn't have before. And that, again, is something I need to have and can bring forward. They've also challenged my sense of impact. So, you could say, Deb, well, how do you want to grow your business? Well, the normal way one would grow a business is I would hire a lot of people, I'd have offices all over, I'd have this great intellectual property, the whole 9 yards. And don't get me wrong, I really, really do want to grow my business. But I am going to have more of an impact on this world by mentoring those blue lobsters who will go out and find and mentor other blue lobsters, who will go out and find and mentor other blue lobsters, and maybe, when they're a lot older, have little blue lobsters of their own. A lot older. And that, again, will make blue lobsters less rare. Now, the third and final way this affects my business model, and this really might be a surprise to you, and frankly, it was a surprise to me, is love. The depth, profundity, if that's a word, and it is now, of the love, respect, and admiration between my young blue lobsters and me is really undescribable. So look, we're all here at BIF. We all want to transform the world, right? Transformation is one of the BIF genomes. And we've talked about today, and we know, you transform systems through people. And if we're going to transform the systems that need transformation so desperately, guys, we better get out there and find blue lobsters and nurture them and develop them and set them free. And I submit to you, in each of your organizations, there are blue lobsters. Now, if you think back to the tank, they may be at the bottom of the tank, hidden underneath all those other lobsters. So you might have to go, take a little look, get out of your office, get off your tush, find, parse through, and see blue lobsters, because they are there. And you need to find them, nurture them, support them, and develop them. So just go look. They are everywhere. Thank you.